What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our outlooks for the 2025 MLB season. Today, we have the New York Mets. The Mets finished last year third place in the NL East, 89-73, tied with the Braves and making almost the World Series. They made an eventual NLCS run, stopped by the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course. This Mets team had a storybook season come to a close very late, but they had a very storybook offseason, you could say, in the likes of Steve Cohen and his wallet. They spent a lot of money, and they made it work. But let's look at their free agent tracker, because honestly, if you scroll down here a little bit, it is one of the largest free agent trackers we've had in this series so far. So they brought back Sean Manaea to add to their rotation, 3 years, $75 million. Jose Iglesias was a big story last year. He gets a minor league deal to leave for San Diego. The Athletics break their franchise record, 3 year, $67 million deal for Luis Severino, so the Mets lose out on him in the rotation. Pete Alonso is a massive story this offseason. He goes back to the Mets, 2 years, $54 million. Harrison Bader leaves the Mets for the Twins, 1 year, $6.25 million. Jesse Winker, who they traded for, comes back for $7.5 million. Jose Quintana was a solid piece for the Mets last year. He goes to the Brewers just this past week, 1 year, $4.25 million. JD Martinez, still out there. Brooks Raley, still out there. Adam Ottavino gets a minor league deal with the Red Sox. Drew Smith goes back to the Mets, 1 year and $1 million. Phil Maton, still out there. Ryan Stanek goes back to the Mets, $4.5 million. And Joey Lucchesi, Adrian Hauser, DJ Stewart, Jake Diekman, Omar Narvaez, and Shintaro Fujinami all get minor league deals. Let's take a look at this lineup, because honestly, it is very well rounded. So taking a look at the projected New York Mets lineup for opening day, it goes a bit like this. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Mark Vientos, Jesse Winker, Francisco Alvarez, Jeff McNeil, and Jose Siri, who they traded for. The big acquisition, however, is this guy, Juan Soto, 26 years old, breaks the bank, new record of Major League Baseball for most money. I think I saw somewhere it can end up equaling $800 million by the end of his opt-out, which the Mets would have to pay upwards towards $800 million. Projected 6.5 WAR highest on the team, of course. 686 projected ABs, 168 WRC+, 952 projected OPS. A walk percentage of 19.7%, everyone. Juan Soto is a very disciplined baseball player, especially at the plate. 16.4% strikeout percentage. He is not a guy to strike out a lot, and he is a guy to get on base a lot. The Mets add him to this top of this lineup. He jumps ship. He goes from the Yankees to the Mets. It's hard to believe this is already Juan Soto's fourth team of his career, and he's only 26-year-old. Started on the Nationals, traded to the Padres, traded to the Yankees, and now he signs with the Mets to stay there for years to come, more than likely for the rest of his Major League Baseball career. And we also can't forget about the re-signing of Pete Alonso, projected 2.9 WAR, 125 WRC+, 805 OPS. He's going to be there to hit the home runs in the meat of the order. And Francisco Lindor, this guy had such a great season last year. If it wasn't for Ohtani getting that crazy good record-breaking season, he probably could have won MVP if Ohtani doesn't do that. This next year, he's projected a 5.9 projected WAR, 124 WRC+, a 793 OPS. I'm kind of surprised they don't have him in the 800s OPS range. But other than that, the only guy projected lower than a 700 OPS is Jose Siri, who they traded for from Tampa Bay back in November. 1.5 projected WAR, 87 WRC+, and a 662 OPS. So maybe that's the only thing they could upgrade. But Jose Siri does have pop in his bat, but he does strike out a lot. A 36.1 projected strikeout percentage. That is something they could definitely look at maybe improving. But other than that, is a very well-rounded lineup. Francisco Alvarez, Jesse Winker they traded for is another, I guess, weak piece of this lineup. You want to use WAR as projections. Jeff McNeil, 2.1 projected WAR. A former batting champ he was. Mark Vientos is going skyrocketing into the league right now. Brandon Nimmo, of course, will always be involved, but this is a great lineup. Looking at their bench, however, Luis Torrens, Luis Angel Acuna, Starling Marte, and Tyrone Taylor. It's a solid bench. I think it's going to be solid. This is a very well-rounded team. Let's take a look at this rotation and bullpen. So taking a look at their projected starting rotation, goes a bit like this. Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, who they signed from the Yankees and is going to be a starter. Paul Blackburn, who they traded for Oakland, and, well, was Oakland, now just the Athletics, of course. And then Griffin Canning. Looking at the bullpen, Edwin Diaz, Jose Butto, Reed Garrett, Ryan Stanek, Danny Young, Huskar Brazoban, Genesis Cabrera, and Tyler Megill. Sorry if I butchered some of those names. When I look at this rotation, it's kind of, people are complaining of it being the weak point. because Clay Holmes is still a question mark. Is he going to be a solid starter? Paul Blackburn is a solid pickup from the Athletics, but projected a .7 more, 4.38 ERA. He's going to do the job, but he's probably not what Mets fans were envisioning. And then Griffin Canning as well, they signed from Atlanta this past December, .3 projected WAR, 4.59 projected ERA. The big guns are Kodai Senga and David Peterson, and then I know Clay Holmes projected at 2.5 WAR, but honestly, the ace of this rotation is Kodai Senga. This team also has Sean Manaea as well. They have him on the IL. He will be there. Frankie Montas, they also signed. He will be there. Christian Scott as well as on the 60-day IL. But Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea will more than likely be in the starting lineup rotation, that is. They both do have new injuries. They do both have, these are new strained oblique, strained lat. The lat, I think, is more curious if you're a pitching guru, I would say, than the oblique. So I'd be more worried about Montas, especially with his injury concerns. But you throw Manaea back in there, it's going to be a solid rotation. They are missing him greatly. Honestly, Montas as well. But when I look at this bullpen, it is headlined by Edwin Diaz, of course. He is the star of this bullpen. Other than that, there's not really much to be excited about. Reed Garrett, .6 projected WAR, and Tyler Megill, .6 projected WAR, the next highest projections on this team besides Edwin Diaz when it comes to the WAR department. He also is projected 36 saves. So overall, it's a very well-rounded team. If there's anything they need to maybe look at even more, I would look at the bullpen just a tad. Maybe the rotation if Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas are not ready in time. Those were two major additions this offseason for this pitching rotation. But other than that, it is a very well-rounded team. So overall, that is my outlook for the 2025 New York Mets. Where do I think they're going to end up? This is a playoff team, everyone. This is a playoff team. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make a World Series run. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a team that makes a lot of moves at the trade deadline. So overall, maybe this is a 90-plus win team. Could they finish 89-73 again? Yes. Could they finish with 85 wins? Yes. It's probably on the basket of the bullpen and the rotation. But this lineup, I think, can carry them to the 90-win range. They are going to be competitive with the Braves and Phillies this year. These three teams are going to be very competitive in this division. We already covered the Braves. The Phillies are coming up really soon in this series. But other than that, thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are inching very closer to 300 subscribers. We're trying to hit that by opening day. We are almost there, so make sure to hit the subscribe button on your screen. Make sure to like the video and comment your thoughts down below about this New York Mets team. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.